and welcome to this week's Three Legs, Four Wheels F1 podcast. It's Paul here with
Dan.
Chris.
Sean.
We've got some F1 things to talk about again.
Yay.
Hooray!
We've seen cars.
Hooray!
Well,
Kind of.
yes.
We've seen what the three cars will look like.
We've seen colours.
Kind of.
We've seen last year's cars with this year's aero, with this year's livery on them.
We've seen
And a
renderings.
picture.
Yes, which, as Sean points out, is just a picture.
Well, yeah, because we can't put the actual car on the website because it takes ages to download. And not everyone's got access to a 3D printer.
But for those of you who have,
Well, I've got one. It's just still in a 104 handy fortnightly parts because I had it all delivered in kit form and never got around to building it.
and yet we don't have a Formula One team yet. This is why.
We've got a Formula One team in kit form. No, we haven't.
No.
We haven't. No, we really don't.
So, we have seen the Haas, Williams and Toro Rosso cars so far.
Unimpressed by the Haas livery.
Lotus 2. Well, Lotus 3, technically.
Yeah,
Because the last Lotus was Lotus 2.
I think because we knew the rich energy colours were black and gold. We knew it was going to be black and gold, but I think we were expecting it maybe not to look quite that Lotusy. Them to try and
even
do
having the
something
gold
of their
stripes
own.
down the side of the nose
Yeah,
cone and everything. It's like trying too hard a bit
Did
here.
Grosjean
guys.
just take some when he left Lotus and they thought, oh, he's got that, we'll just use that?
I think it looks nice, and the black and gold Lotus always did look nice, but it's not inventive.
No, it's unoriginal and a bit overdone.
Are you talking about the car or the drink?
The car.
I
the
do
livery, yeah.
appreciate that not everyone's had chance to try the drink.
Yeah. The day before the livery launch, though, it was really obvious what the colour of the car was going to be because they did a press photos with Romain Grosjean and K-Mag with their cans of Rich Energy in their
Where the
new
hell did they
polo-
get them from?
Don't know. In their new polo shirts, which were black with gold writing on. So,
But Grosjean, of course, couldn't wear his old Lotus one because he's now saying that he's put on too much weight.
Yes.
okay, because you're allowed to be heavier this year.
Yeah.
I've
And he
also-
said he's gone out the other side with the weight gain.
Was it, he reckons he's put on 10 kilos or something like that.
20, I think he
Is
said.
it 20?
Mrs.
Oh,
Grosjean
Jesus.
must be a good cook.
Well, no, Grosjean himself is a good cook, is he not?
It's Roman and Marion Grosjean, isn't it?
They-
Cooking-
they
cooking
have-
over Grosjeans.
They have their own range of cookery books.
Next it will be sauces.
They might do sauces with their cooking. I don't know.
So do you start with cooking and then move on to sauces?
No, I mean you start with cooking, you do a cookery book, and then like Lloyd Grossman. He had
Oh, you
his
mean like
own-
a range
Oh,
of
right.
sauces?
So at some point they're going to be presenting through the keyhole.
Yes.
No, is that just Grosjean trying to park on your drive, and then the next thing you know, he's through the keyhole?
No, it's,
Who
it's,
lives in a house like this?
it's Grosjean trying to park on next door's drive. It was Ericsson's door. So does
Grosjean just driving slowly down the road in the wet.
and then accidentally binning it into a wall.
So just bringing it back to racing, what happened with Paul Newman's cookery book? Because he went straight onto sauces after racing.
I don't know. He got drunk.
So yes, Haas, dull, I would say, unoriginal, uninspired.
I think
Yeah.
a lot of
Unoriginal, but
Well, it's
I
obviously
like-
inspired.
Yeah, I like the design, but it's not original.
I think a lot of Haas fans are excited by the fact that there's like a classic livery almost on a Haas. Like Haas are still the new boys, aren't they, in Formula One? Even
Yeah.
though Racing Point are technically they're new boys. You know, Haas have brought a lot of American fans along with them. We've got a lot of American listeners to this show as well, and I think a lot of the fans of Haas Formula One team are really excited by the fact that it's black and gold. It's almost like a little bit of classic Formula One running through. You know, the new boy team, if you will.
Yeah.
They'll always be the new boys until another new boy team comes along. Racing Point aren't quite the new boys; they're a continuation of somebody else.
Yeah, they're just a buyout.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, obviously the comments. Can't remember who. I'm just scrolling back through Twitter after the launch. Somebody, John Clark, so much for American pride. So I think John probably wanted it to look a lot more American than it does. At the other end of the scale, Michael Cohen, it's absolutely gorgeous. I think we can call that mixed opinions.
Yeah,
Those are polarizing opinions, aren't they?
I mean, yeah. So American Pride. I mean, that's
It's still got the stars and stripes on it. It's the grey one that they had on last year's.
yeah. It's Formula One's not about racing for your country as such, though, is it? You
Yeah,
know,
but I think
it's-
with the
No, that was
exception
A1
of,
Grand Prix, and we were all visiting our aunt that weekend.
yeah.
I say, with the exception of Force India, I can't think of a team that has been all national colours.
Scuderia
I was
Italia.
going to say recently.
Marussia?
Recently.
They were sort of, yeah, kind of Russian a little bit.
BMW-ish, kind of.
They weren't in the German colours, though, were they?
No, true, because Germany's racing colour was blue, I think, wasn't it?
I know that was France. Germany's have been silver.
Ah, fair enough.
US raced in black, which is why this is also quite an interesting sort of throwback.
So you could argue there
so-
is a national pride aspect to
A
it.
little bit. US raced in black. France were blue. The Italians always raced in red. The British raced in green. They were Japanese raced in white. I can't remember. There's a few different colours, but we were assigned to nationalities when they were.
When it was international championship.
Yeah, when it was a thing.
So, what do we reckon? Sort of straw poll around the table.
For the Haas,
Yeah, for or against.
I think I'm going to go for a 4 out of 10. I realise that's not what you were asking.
I didn't
but-
like the grey. I didn't at all. I thought the grey was unimaginative, and they were looking for a sponsor. So it's really silly of me to then bemoan the fact that they've got a title sponsor and then be like, it's so unoriginal. But it just doesn't. It just. Yeah, fine. Have a black and gold car. That's the colours of your sponsor.
Yeah, do a bit more with it.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to do something.
Do something
different.
More gold.
Yeah, black and gold, not black with gold, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think-
because it does look like just a straight rip-off of the old JPS Lotus colours.
Yeah. And the Genie Capital Lotus as well, which they
Yeah.
admitted was a tribute. And don't forget, at one point we nearly had 2 teams on the grid called Lotus in black and gold cars because pre-Caterham, Tony Fernandez was keeping the Lotus name and had the black and gold livery already drawn up.
Yeah.
Yes, this is back in the day when one of the team owned the rights to the
Name.
Racing name.
Lotus Racing, and another had the rights to the Lotus Group name.
Team Lotus. One had
Team-
the rights to Team Lotus, and the other one had the rights to Lotus Racing. So you had Lotus Renault and Lotus Renault, but they were 2 completely different teams.
At least they were at different ends of the grid.
Yeah, ish, kind of.
But it was insane.
Yeah. So the next one. Toro Rosso was the first one out this morning.
Well, not the car, like Sean said, it was a picture.
The Toro
few
Rosso was the
pictures.
first picture that we saw.
I don't think there's much to talk about livery.
The livery
wise either, is it?
it's a throwback to the Toro Rosso of last year,
Yeah.
isn't it? a bit of a tribute.
That's,
is.
That's,
Yeah,
a,
it's a
that's a
tri-
good way to put
Yeah,
it. I
Those
think.
halcyon days of 9th in the Constructors' Championship.
Yeah, it's a great big thank you to Brendan Hartley. So they've done it in Hartley tribute colours,
Yeah.
clearly, and
because of his experience in endurance racing.
absolutely,
Which is
yeah.
going to increase
It
now.
is,
Yes,
it
'cause
is.
He's replaced Jenson Button at SMP.
Also, is he Ferrari development driver now as well?
Yes.
Brendan
Yeah.
Hartley.
I
Well,
think-
yeah, everyone's a Ferrari development
Yeah.
driver
Yes.
if you've been sacked by a Formula One team. I'm just waiting for him to say that Rob Smedley's now a development driver for him.
The interesting things about the Toro Rosso, the side pods are very high and very narrow, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does.
High and narrow.
Yeah,
Uh,
shallow.
Shallow, yes, that's better. High and shallow. And there is a pronounced step, like a bridge in a nose, on the nose cone. It's not quite Platypus 2011 Formula One car style when they decided that all cars should have low noses, and you had awful things like phallic instruments just added onto the end of nose cones, which just looked terrible. There is a slight step in the nose as it goes. It's not curved like we've seen in recent years. it looks to me a little bit like last year's Red. No, I'm not being conspiracy man here. A little bit like last year's Red Bull.
That's what you want us to think.
No, a little bit like last year's Red Bull with a very Ferrari-ish kind of nose cone on it. That's what it looks like to me, anyway.
Almost as if Kvyat stole the design on the way out for the Ferrari front end.
Yeah, it's quite funny, isn't it? Kvyat goes to Toro Rosso and ends up being replaced by Brendan Hartley at Ferrari.
Because the last 2 years, Red Bulls have both had very Mercedes-style noses.
Yes, yeah. Especially, was it last year or the year before, the Toro Rosso side by side with the Mercedes looked almost the same car.
Yeah.
Dimensions-wise, anyway. It was very similar. We thought the Toro Rosso was going to be, quick off the blocks, and it just wasn't for some reason.
I mean, it was obvious that this year's Toro Rosso was going to go in a different direction because I don't think James Key's had the same input that he's had into the last 2 years because no one's entirely sure what his employment status is with the team. Does he still have to turn up every day? Is he on garden leave?
He's on gardening leave, I
Has he
believe.
joined McLaren? Will he join McLaren?
He should join according to Zach Brown, the last thing I heard was that he was joining McLaren during the 2019 season, but we don't know when.
So there's some kind of cool-off period, you would assume.
Where you can return your purchase if you're not happy with it from 28 days.
The main worry about the Toro Rosso, of course, is it's just going to be an experimental testbed for Honda again, just to make sure that Red Bull get all the quality parts.
I hope not.
The
but...
BBC called this car Red Bull inspired.
Oh, what?
I think the BBC just can't be arsed anymore
Red
with
Bull inspired.
writing about Formula
Well, the
1.
side pods, as I was saying before, the side pods from this year's Toro Rosso are very much like the side pods on last year's Red Bull. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a Ferrari sort of look as well.
They haven't. We're not saying they've been rooting around in Adrian Newey's bin.
No.
Craig Scarborough said that some of the airflow was very Adrian Newey.
Or do you think he might have had a hand in this, or...?
I'll just leave these blueprints on the table and I'm going to go for a coffee.
Yeah.
I suppose at some point
it's
he may
interest-
have taught some people, and then people will have learnt his stylings.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's interesting to see the 2019 front wing. It's massive, isn't it?
It does look boxy.
It's a fence.
Yeah, do you remember the cars when they were driving around with all the sensor fences on them, in testing?
Yes.
It's
Yeah,
kind of like that.
Kind
but
of
on
like
the front
that, but
of the car.
they're all actually made of wing elements these days.
I quite like the rear wing being a bit bigger, but the front wing to me looks too big.
But we'll get used to them.
Oh, of course we will, yeah.
It
It's
looks
just
like something you put on the front of a tractor or a combine harvester or something of that nature. It looks like it should be
Scooping things
sifting
up.
a crop. Yes.
Yeah.
The rear wing changes this year are interesting because obviously they've made the DRS flap wider and the rear struts wider to put the extra rain lights on. And it's just going to be a case of... It's going to be a development arms race just to see who can make the most out of the aero from those first.
We're all looking forward, aren't we, to seeing the rain lights actually working. We're sure we'll see them during testing because they'll want to test them out even if it's not raining.
Yeah,
Although it did snow during last year's testing.
that is true. I remember all the pictures of the snowmen. I think Mercedes were actually going to sign one of them up at one point just in case Bottas didn't work out.
Probably should have with hindsight, maybe.
No, Bottas was all right.
I was,
But that's the
I was
problem.
being
He was all
harsh.
right.
But
So, yeah, any other thoughts on the 2019 Toro Rosso?
looks like a Toro Rosso.
Yeah, the pictures look like your bog standard Toro Rosso car. I think we really can't pass proper judgment on it until next Monday, when we get to see it running on a track
Yeah.
for real, rather than...
Well, even that didn't work out last year, did it? Because it was brilliant in testing, and then it got on a racetrack
And
and
it
was
wasn't.
very average.
I think they... Well, how many engines did they use in testing?
Well, possibly, yes.
Yeah, and how much bag sanding were Honda doing?
Yeah, just for once, Honda were actually changing the engine after every session because they wanted to and not because they had to. But it'll be interesting to see what the representative times are like. We don't get to find anything out until qualifying in Australia.
No.
Not really, no. Maybe FP3 in Australia. But the... so that was Toro Rosso, and then we saw... Was it Williams that were the next ones to break
Williams
cover?
were the second one of today. Sorry, Rocket Williams.
Rocket Williams Racing, which sounds like a Williams-sponsored child's event.
So what is Rocket? Have we figured this out yet?
Yeah, they are a telecommunications company, and they're about to launch a range of mobile phones, including a flip phone.
Yeah, but mobile phones which are super affordable, apparently.
However, when we picked up some of the recording gear from Lee earlier, who is usually very up on his gadgets and knows this kind of stuff, he can't find any specification for it anywhere.
They haven't released them. There was the big mobile, the big technology exhibition, CES, a couple of weeks ago, and they launched them there, but they weren't even giving any tech specs away. They're saying that 2 of the phones will have a 3D screen. So it'll be just like playing on a Nintendo 3DS when you're trying to make a call. That doesn't sell it to me.
No.
And they're doing... It's owned by the guy who owns Patron Tequila.
Okay.
And he does have some motor racing experience in there because one of his co-directors is a pay driver in LMP.
I think he's retired now, isn't he? This is Ed Davis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was driving one of the Patron cars up to the end of last season. I don't think he's actually going in it this year.
Patron pulled out when they got taken over by Bacardi a couple of years ago, so they don't have a team anymore.
They were definitely in Daytona.
It was end of last year, I think it was. They pulled out. I think possibly they still sponsor someone or something, but they don't have. There isn't a Patron team anymore.
But obviously the company and the boss there does have sort of a little bit of a grounding in motorsport.
Not the only motorsports-related sponsorship they're doing this year either.
No,
Nick Hamilton,
Yes.
who is racing in British touring cars, also sponsored by Rocket.
Okay.
As of today, they announced that, and if you look at the picture of Nick with is it a Ford Focus that he's in? Those Rocket logos look very slapped on at the very last minute because
they
the
just
car...
don't quite sit
The
Is
car-
that
correctly with
full
the livery.
BTCC for Nick Hamilton now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, the car had already been painted up and it looks like, shit, we need some decals.
Does look a little bit like, shit, we need some decals. Yeah, I've got to be honest.
The first one I saw thought was photoshopped on, then I saw the angle from the front corner and it's, oh no, they are real, it's just their emergency last-minute jobs. So Rocket are getting very, very involved. It's just they are the second sponsor on the grid without mass availability for their products.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the Williams itself, we got to see the 2019 livery and a little
2019 teamwear.
2019
Yes.
teamwear and a little bit of the 2019 aero, but it was last year's car dressed as this year's car.
Yes, as was the case with Haas.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that as
No,
such.
no.
Especially when they say it's a livery reveal.
That's what
Yeah.
it was described as.
Yeah. Although somebody, now I'm not going to mention any names, but has appeared on this podcast quite a lot and isn't on this podcast tonight.
Would you say he's appeared on probably more than 100 episodes?
I
This
would
is
say
this is a regular.
somewhere round about this is 190. I would say he's done at least 180 of these podcasts.
Right, okay.
He said, "Oh, that looks fast compared to last year's."
It is last year's.
It was last year's and it was not fast.
Excuse me. But yeah, it's just, I don't know what I think. I saw regular listener and contributor Gemma posted on Twitter. The more I look at the Williams, the less I like it. I will probably grow to like it, but I don't like it.
I actually quite like it as a
According to
colour
Carlton,
scheme.
they stole their livery from a fishing lure.
No.
That does
Yeah.
actually look. Yes, it does look like a fishing lure. Quite
Which
right.
I will retweet now.
But yeah, I think I
Or by
quite
the time you're
like
listening to this yesterday.
quite like the Williams livery. I think.
I'm not really a
You're
fan.
not sold.
but
Non-event.
then- yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like it's like a watered down martini version of their martini
Watered
livery.
down martini.
Yeah, it is.
But I mean, the martini livery, it was white with the blue and red stripe running through it, the big bold martini logo. This is kind of just like an off-white with a sort of milky sort of blue running here through it every now and again. It's kind
It
of like
looks
somebody...
like a toothpaste.
Yes, it
Oh, there
does.
is a bit of a
Yes.
toothpaste
Yes,
vibe.
Dan, it does look like a toothpaste. Aquafresh to the rescue.
Yeah, because these aren't the Rocket corporate colours, because they are red, white, and black.
Like Nick Hamilton's Ford Focus.
Yes.
So, yeah, a little bit confusing as to why it's sort of red, white, and blue. Are they going for the British pride thing? We were talking about national pride
Maybe.
before.
Could be.
But it's not Union Jack red, white, and blue, is
No,
it?
there's not a whole lot of red on the car apart from in the Rocket logo.
Yeah. It is a toothpaste. Dan's right. Your Williams is
The
a
Williams
tube of
toothpaste
toothpaste.
car.
Yeah.
I mean, it came as a surprise that they have a separate title sponsor, because everyone thought it was going to be one of the companies that's putting the money behind Kubica.
Yeah,
Because apparently he's bringing in something like $10 million a season with him, which is double what Sorokin was bringing in.
$10 million a season.
Yeah.
I
It's
thought,
a lot of money.
yeah, there's nothing compared to what Stroll was bringing in there.
That is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, it was, 15 he was due to pay? Or averaged out at 15 a season?
Averaged out of 15 every season. It was it 45 the first season, 30 the second, and like 15 for the remaining seasons of his contract, which he's now cancelled.
Yeah. Where's that money going, we ask ourselves.
Yeah, yes, we do, absolutely.
But yeah, it's very hard to judge on the Williams, because I want to see the car. And launches, Lee said it earlier, and I'm agreeing with him here. Launches seem to be getting less and less important, where they're not revealing the car, and they're just having an event for the sponsors with something that looks like the car,
Well, do you remember when?
with the right colours on.
I know. Obviously, I missed the podcast where Alfa Romeo, and it's Alfa Romeo Racing now instead of Sauber. But do you remember when Alfa Romeo were announced as the title sponsors for Sauber? They didn't even bother using a recent car. They used a car that was about 5 or 6 years old, and just put a vinyl wrap over it with a livery of.
I think it was that old. It had a platypus nose.
I think it definitely had a raised nose, but yeah, it was silly. It's just like, well, that's nothing like what the car's going to look like. Why have you done this? This is utterly pointless. It was just a sponsor event. That's all it was. A sponsor event. Stand there with the two drivers. I can't even remember who. It was Leclerc and Ericsson. And
You can't remember who it was. That must be
No.
Ericsson's fault.
yeah, it must be Ericsson's fault. And yeah, it was just that's saddening to see and to hear when launches aren't a big thing anymore.
Yeah.
I wonder if one of the issues this year is because the season is a week earlier, so there's less time to be getting a car built up to then pack it down and ship it all over the place. If they're just
Yeah.
they've
I
got a
think
week less to be ready.
Part of that, there's part that they don't want to show actual bits of the car.
Yeah.
And with so little testing nowadays, they can't put on what they're looking at the moment because it's going to change, because it's not going to change. So, yeah, I think we've all said before they should do the launch on the day that testing starts,
Or as like
as a big Formula One event. Not,
yeah, or like an arena event somewhere, in an arena, where the day before testing or the 2 days before testing, each team has an hour to reveal its car, and then it moves on. Moves on to the next podium.
Do it in
The-
reverse order
yeah.
of last year's championship.
Yeah, and then the last one happens at 8 o'clock at night, something like that.
Prime time.
Yeah, prime time, and then it's this year it will be Mercedes launching their car at just gone 8 o'clock. Their media thing will finish at 9. That whole day event for Formula One would be incredible.
I mean, there were stories going around that that's what Liberty wanted this year, and the teams vetoed it.
Well, this is rubbish because I said this on our chat group.
I'd have a different format. I'd have it done just before testing. So they all launch the cars and the event ends with them all driving out onto the track.
Yeah, you'd need a track where you could do that as well, unless you just did it in the garage. But then that's less of an event then, I think, for sponsors and things.
They
Yeah,
could work it out.
You'd have to start quite early in the day, I think, if you wanted to do like a full round of media and then crack on with testing.
The problem being, of course, testing starts at 8 o'clock in the morning local time. So
or have it going on till 8 the day before testing, and they all do a lap of the track, or not 8, but whenever sundown is.
I think I can see from the team's point of view, they want the maximum amount of coverage possible for their sponsors, which is why you get the reveals staggered. I mean, obviously, it used to be over the space of about 10 days because it was very rare up until last year that there was more than one launch a day. And Mercedes and Ferrari ended up launching on the same day,
Yeah, it does
a few hours apart, which is why Mercedes made a big deal of, once we're done here, stick around in the press centre and we'll watch the Ferrari launch.
Yeah, have we got
3 on Thursday.
3 on Thursday? One tomorrow. Is that Tuesday?
Tomorrow.
Renault is Tuesday.
Yeah. McLaren is Wednesday.
McLaren is Friday.
Thursday.
No, McLaren is Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day, which is Thursday.
Oh yeah,
is
sorry, Force
Friday.
India
Is it
Racing
It's
Point.
Thursday.
I
I'm
ain't
looking
got
at the calendar that's
fucking
right
clue
above
what
your
day it
head.
is.
Racing Point are on Wednesday.
It's Wednesday that's the
Is it Wednesday?
Wednesday's 3 because it's Red Bull, Racing Point, and
Somebody else.
Ferrari? Is it Ferrari?
Ferrari's Friday. Sauber is next
Red
Monday.
Bull. Force
Sauber
India.
is-
might only be-
Mercedes. It's Mercedes.
Mercedes are on Wednesday,
Is it testing day next Monday?
Yes.
and testing starts next Monday. Sauber
Just went Sauber.
Sauber are doing their launch in the pit lane.
Oh, good
Probably
God.
so that they don't have to get Kimi to show up to 2 different things.
It would be wonderful if it was martini coloured Alfa Romeo. That would just be it would be so good.
You're not going to let that one go, are you?
No, no, that would be. It would probably be my second favourite livery of all time.
Behind.
The 92 Williams.
No, you see, if you're talking about classic liveries of all time, McLaren all the years at Marlboro was sponsoring it.
And the original JPS Lotus as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not so much of a fan of like the 92 Williams. The car and everything it represents,
Yeah.
absolutely beautiful. But if you look at the design of it, it's a bit of a mishmash.
What you mean, the livery design?
The livery,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
completely. But it's forever my favourite Formula One car because of I would get up early in the morning to see that car.
Oh yeah.
So, and when we went to the cinema to watch the Senna movie, they only showed it. Was it once here or?
I think it was 2 days, and we managed to get tickets for the second day.
Yeah. It was wonderful seeing the whole story of Senna. And I implore you, if you've not seen the Senna movie, find it and watch it.
Where the hell have you been?
Exactly,
is the other
yeah.
question.
But there's one particular scene where they pan across the grid. I think it's possibly 91, maybe 92, and it's there. It's the FW14. And I was like, oh, that for me was the biggest moment of the movie when they panned across from Senna to Mansell's Williams, and it was just sat there. I was just like, that's the car. But yeah.
And of course, you have seen one in the flesh now.
We are very close to touching it, yes. I was tempted to touch it, but I didn't.
Were there people guarding it to stop you from touching it?
No.
Was it
not
just
at all.
personal
No,
there
self?
no
was-
one's saying, "Whoa, you can't touch this."
No, they said please don't touch. I think there was a sign that said please don't touch. But there was also a 1990 or 89 Ferrari parked there as well. So I wasn't interested in that. not bothered. It wasn't even,
Neither was Mansell.
no. It was okay. It was all right. It's Formula One car. Do you know what I mean?
So 4 down, 7 to go. And on the subject of launches, of course, and Racing Point, it looks like they are going to be keeping the name.
4 down, 7 to go.
6 to go.
Three.
3 down,
3
7
down.
to go.
Yeah. Well, 3. Yes, 3.
Yeah, there's 10 altogether. We've had 3. We're going to be getting 7 more.
Yes. What was it? The Racing Point tried to be Lola, tried to be Brabham, weren't allowed to be anything, so our Racing Point.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to be keeping the name now.
But had they already signed up with sponsors and signed off on a livery design before they were shunned the name?
I mean, they're announcing their team launch. They're going on like new start, new year, new. So
And it's-
something new is happening.
And it's in Toronto.
Yes, that in itself is a bit quirky.
I don't think we've ever had a Formula One car launch in Toronto.
Do not
have
believe
we?
so.
No, it's usually at the factory in the UK
Yeah.
Or a nearby
or
circuit.
a nearby circuit.
However, Lawrence Stroll has probably bought the Space Needle in Toronto.
Possibly, yeah.
That's
It
Seattle.
might be taking
So
place
you're
at
thinking
his
of the CN
personal
Tower?
track.
No,
Yeah,
I
whatever.
reckon after buying a Formula One team, he can't afford the plane fare to come across and see the cars, so they brought it to him.
Yes, because it's cheaper to do that, to ship a Formula One car across the Atlantic.
I think it might
Guys,
be.
I'm a bit short this month.
Yeah, he's had to pay Sergio Perez's wages.
I'm just thinking how much he has to pay for Lance's eyebrow treatment.
Teen Wolf strikes again.
So yeah, Racing Point were making out, oh, it'll be the new name, it'll be the new look, it'll be the new livery. It's going to be Racing Point by all accounts because
Please be sponsored
The
by
entry
maple
thing.
syrup.
Is maple syrup a sponsoring thing? Is it not just a product? Does it have a,
A brand, there
marketing
will be-
budget?
The Canadian Maple Syrup Council are sponsoring the car.
Ah, could do.
Yeah.
Team Hortons say it every time. It'll look great when it's doing donuts. That's the new extension to the joke.
Yeah, but no, there were a couple of surprises because clearly they're not going to be pink, are they?
I don't think they'll be keeping the BWT sponsorship
No.
because BWT are massively European. If you look at all the teams and athletes they sponsor, they are all based in Europe. They don't have any,
Well, Racing Point are based in Europe, but they are a Canadian team.
but they are Racing Point are making out how Canadian they are, which it leads me to think that they're not with BWT anymore.
Are they officially a Canadian team now?
They're Canadian entry, yeah.
So if Perez wins a race, the Canadian national anthem will be played.
Oh, hang on a second. Didn't think about it. Can Perez please win in the US?
Mexican anthem and Canadian
national
anthem.
anthems being played in Texas. ESPN will be cutting away to show adverts and stop riots.
Yeah, probably.
Might have to, no, I'm not going to edit that one. So we'll get to find out the whole ethos behind this new organisation on Wednesday.
Yeah, and what livery they're going to be running with, because it seems to me that if they were going to try and take a historic racing name, that they also may have looked at historic liveries. Now Lola probably didn't have a historic livery as such.
Well, the last time Lola were in Formula One, they had that
MasterCard.
Yeah.
multicoloured
Yeah.
MasterCard
Which is
thing
quite famous nowadays.
Yeah.
for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah, and but Brabham were traditionally blue and white.
Which were the BMW colours.
Yeah, so I don't know if they might might have already tried to tie in with that before they were told they couldn't have the name. So it'd be interesting to see what they come up with. I'm looking.
Do we have any
Old
predictions?
Lola was blue as well, wasn't it?
I can't remember, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, any guesses what we think it might be?
I think we're going to go for a complete Canadian overdose. I think it's going to be red
and white.
Red and white.
That would be unsurprising, but
With a hint of the colours of the flag of Quebec, just to make the Quebecois happy. So, or bon, or whatever.
yeah, I don't know.
The main thing I'm concerned about Racing Point this year is, are they going to carry on the development of the car, and will they be fighting for fourth place, which they would have been this year without the whole financial shenanigans.
I mean, they should certainly have the budget to be able to develop a car.
Yeah. There's not been any major changes of staff. They're taking on new people. They've now got better access to better facilities for testing, development,
Looks
and
as though
manufacturing.
the consortium are willing to cushion that financial loss from the points taken and not having fourth.
Yeah.
Where do they finish? Eighth.
Eighth in the end.
Yeah. The consortium, the Stroll consortium, are okay with cushioning that financial loss. So good luck to them. I hope it works out well. I think their livery will be dictated by their sponsors. I just don't know. I have no idea what their sponsors are going to be. I am, of course, joking when I say maple syrup.
But bearing in mind the
It
number
would
of
be funny,
companies that Lawrence Stroll has got a major shareholding in.
It's Tommy Hilfiger. They could end up just being like a Hilfiger F1 team, as we've discussed in the past.
Teamy Hilfiger.
Yeah.
Which would be a majority red and white with a bit of blue.
Yeah, it would be.
which would fit in with the Canadian type thing.
Well, a little bit, yes.
That kind of works. Now then, today we saw the return of British American tobacco to the F1 grid,
Somewhat controversially.
but not advertising tobacco.
A
No.
mixed response as
The-
well.
This
That's-
is for McLaren,
Yes, they are advertising a better tomorrow.
but not just that. McLaren added another sponsor earlier on late last week, earlier this week, whichever way you want to say it.
Recently.
Recently, in the last few days, Husky chocolate drink. It's a Swedish chocolate drink. The colours are red and white. British American tobacco, generally speaking, run with the colours red and white.
Depending on which brand they're pushing at the time.
Yeah,
Anyone see Will Buxton's tweet about that this
I
afternoon?
did.
by the
Yes,
way?
I saw it when you retweeted it. There was a. We often now the man with the biggest man crush on Carlos Sainz is not with us tonight. Now we often say how what a great photo Carlos Sainz takes. I will see if I can send you the picture of Carlos Sainz with his Husky hot chocolate. It looks like a film poster.
Oh, dear God.
Yeah, it really does. But the interesting thing is that all of McLaren's announced sponsors appear to have colours that are going to clash with their papaya and blue.
But we do seem to think they're sticking with the papaya.
We do seem to think because they're
that's-
pushing it.
Yeah.
In the thing. So, yeah, they've got Petrobras on board as well, haven't they, for the season? But the logo was black. It was on the car last year.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a little bit more prominent, I think, this year.
Yeah, but it's like with the Coca-Cola sponsorship, that was just Coca-Cola in white, where their colours are normally red and white.
Yeah, but again, it's Coca-Cola, red and white. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sensing a little bit of a theme here.
It does seem like they're trying to advertise some things without actually advertising them.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm just having a look through Carlos Sainz's Instagram.
But with the British American tobacco sponsorship, that isn't for tobacco because you can't put tobacco on a Formula One car anymore, and you've not been able to since the end of the 2006 season. This is for technological synergy and enhancements.
So do we know what that actually means?
yeah.
film
I think- and
poster.
potentially less harmful tobacco substitutes or something
Slightly
like that.
Sinister looking.
Carlos Sainz.
Sorry, I didn't catch that. I was vaping. Oh, really?
The-
really
the-
took too big a drag on that.
Oh, that is.
Carlos Sainz wants you to jump into that photograph with him and enjoy that hot chocolate with him.
Oh dear. Yes.
But look, their colours are red and white. Husky chocolate.
We need one of those enhanced podcasts that used to bring up images mid conversation, but I really can't be bothered editing that in because it takes separate software.
Google it, people.
Google it. That'll do.
Huski.
Husky.
Yeah. Swedish, apparently.
So, yes, BAT have done a Philip Morris with their Mission Win Now, which is a better tomorrow, which ironically is what McLaren have been promising us since they took the Honda engines on.
Yes.
Now, this hasn't been without controversy, but I don't see why people are kicking off about this. Because nobody got narky when Ferrari launched the Mission Win Now at the end of last year. And
Isn't it Winnow?
it might be Winner.
Yeah.
The Kimmy Poetry book,
Yeah.
which we will reveal the winner of our competition for next week, because we're still deciding. But Philip Morris have constantly sponsored Ferrari since, I want to say, 96?
Earlier than that.
I think it's been less obvious of late, hasn't
The
it?
93 Ferrari was the last one before a couple of years ago. They had the white stripe that had Marlboro written along it.
I think they became title sponsors in about 96, I think.
Yeah,
might
okay.
have been.
But yeah, there's definitely been Marlboro or a Philip Morris on the Ferraris. Even go back into the 80s, I want to say. Because where Prost and Mansell had their names on the car, their names were underneath the Marlboro arch.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm a fervent non-smoker these days, and I switched to vaping a few years ago. And this is what appears to be being promoted. Now, there's no restrictions, or next to no restrictions, on advertising vaping products.
Yeah. Alternative tobacco products, I
Yes.
think they're calling it.
Because now they're moving away from vape and going into heated tobacco, where you don't burn it and inhale the toxic fumes. I've no idea how this works.
Neither do I.
No, this is a new one on me.
This also confuses me greatly.
Yeah.
When are McLaren launching? Their Valentine's Day.
They are the only
Yes.
team that are launching on Valentine's Day.
Again,
They made a big play of it, and it encouraged poetry on our Twitter feed, which some people didn't like.
but all of their... no, they didn't. All of their Instagram
Sorry.
posts and their Instagram stories are papaya. You know, it seems like they're still pushing the papaya thing, but everything that's going on in the car is red and white.
And I'm going to go back to what I said about Williams. Let's just have a decent car out of them.
Yeah. Liveries don't matter. I don't care if they do a full-on retro.
You
Senna.
don't care if you livery or die.
Yes, exactly. You know, if they go full-on Senna livery and, you know, put the old McLaren logo on it, and that's their only sponsor throughout the entire season, I don't care. As long as it's fast.
But I've got a theory how this came about.
Go.
Right. Sean will back me up on this one. Because,
I might, but
because
yeah.
you saw the documentary at the same
That's a
time.
brave thing to say. Sean will back me up on
Sean
this
will agree with some of the
I think
thoughts
I
on
know
this.
where this
Yeah.
is going, and to be fair, I probably will. But
Now, has anyone seen this? This I'm asking the listeners because I know you two haven't seen it, but me and Sean have. A documentary on Netflix that came out last week called Gentlemen Drivers.
Nay.
It's about the multimillionaires that have been racing in various endurance series for the last few years. People like
Mark Webber.
No.
the non-professional ones.
the ones that have the bronze and the silver licenses in
Oh,
the World
the
Max
Endurance
Chilton.
Championship.
Yeah. Yeah, the people with the money who don't quite make it to Formula One.
No, the chief
The rich
executives
businessmen.
of multi-million-dollar corporations that get to 40 and have their midlife crisis on a racetrack.
Got
People like Paul Dallalana, who you often see during the WEC
Yeah,
season.
teammate of Matthias Lauda, I think, at the moment, isn't
Yes.
he? And someone else whose name eludes me. But always kind of there or thereabouts in the GT-AM.
Yeah. And in some cases up as high as LMP2s.
Yep. Ricardo Gonzalez, who was with Bruno Senna and Felipe Albuquerque a
Yep.
couple of years ago.
It's a wonderful name.
Felipe Albuquerque.
Yeah.
Now, one of these drivers, whose name I've forgotten because I should have written it down,
Yes.
owns the largest e-liquid manufacturers in the US. And I think provides British American Tobacco with the e-liquid products for their e-cigarettes. And he also drives for United Autosports,
Zach Brown's
which
team.
is owned by Zach Brown. So I think there's some kind
There's
of
a tie-in
connection there,
there.
and there's a tie-in, and that is how this one's come about. Because BAT have looked at it and gone, we can get products back on the Formula One grid by
Yeah.
using our connections.
Because don't forget, BAT were responsible for BAR, British American Racing.
Yes,
Which became Honda, which became Braun,
Which
which Lee
became-
loves.
Yes,
Which became Mercedes.
This chappie's name, by the way, Michael Gouache. I can't
Yes.
quite remember how we said that. There's
Gouache.
a U. There's a U followed by an A, which
It
is.
sounds
is-
like somebody's just dropped a bucket of water.
Gouache.
Michael Slapstick.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yes, he owns the largest producer of e-liquid in the US,
Okay.
which I just think there's some kind of tie-in there. And I think this has all come about through the United Autosports connection, which worries me for McLaren. Because they are the kind of operation that really does need somebody full-time in charge, especially the way that things have been over the last few years with them. Because they've just been in absolute carnage. It's been a disaster. You can't deny that.
They're in trouble of Ferrarying themselves, aren't they?
Yeah.
You know, like early 90s Ferrarying themselves.
Yeah, really, shooting themselves in the wrong foot, not even the one that they were aiming for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you've got someone like Zach Brown who, let's face it, hasn't exactly backed up his statements, I'm going to find a title sponsor for this team.
Well, that was his main job when he first came in.
Still doesn't have one.
Not since Vodafone have they had a title sponsor, have they?
No.
Vodafone, McLaren, Mercedes.
Yeah.
Not since
that was a few
Vodafone
years ago
left and
now.
went to Ferrari, just like Philip Morris did.
Yeah.
The performance is going to get better.
Nah.
It hasn't. We've got the best chassis. It's the engine that's the problem.
No, it's too draggy.
Yeah. 3 years of bad chassis continue after they get a new engine. McLaren have got an amazing heritage. I've always supported McLaren since before I used to watch Formula One because I was 6 when James Hunt won the World Championship.
Yeah.
And he did a TV advert with Morecambe and Wise, who were the funniest comedians ever.
At the time.
Still holds up.
No, yeah.
Still
No,
holds
they,
up.
They still do some very good stuff, yeah. Well, no.
They did some very good stuff.
You still see some very good stuff by them, is what I meant to say.
Their
It
stuff
hasn't-
is still good.
It hasn't
Yes.
aged as badly as other comedians from the same period of time.
That's putting it lightly.
Yeah. It's still funny now, 40 years on.
Yes.
We'll go for that one. So, I became a McLaren fan just because James Hunt was a world champion and the third member of Morecambe and Wise. And that stuck with me since I was 6. That's 43 years ago. And I'm gutted to see the state that McLaren are in. And if they've got somebody who is, on paper, running the whole operation on the racing side, but he's not even doing it full time.
It's only going to get worse as well, surely, because United Autosports have a full-time World Endurance Championship entry for whatever the hell they're calling the next season.
19 to 20.
Yeah.
It is now split over 2 years, but it's not going to be an 18-month-long super season anymore.
Yes.
So, what the hell's going on? Could Zach Brown's days finally be numbered at McLaren?
Yeah, but who's going to take over for him? That's the thing.
But that was what everyone said when Ron Dennis left. Who can they get to take over from Ron if they kick him out?
They've got Bob Fernley now, haven't they?
That's a good point.
Within the McLaren family.
Running the IndyCar side. I don't think it would be a bad thing if Bob Fernley ended up head of racing.
No, not at all.
Bob Fernley is a wise head and managed to keep Force India above water when Vijay Mallya was doing his best to make
Living in
sure...
his secret underwater bunker.
Yeah, but Vijay Mallya was doing his best to make sure that the authorities could not extradite him for all of his non-committed crimes.
We can go for alleged accusations.
Yes. Well, no, I did see him being escorted away on the news whilst I was away recently, but I didn't have the sound on, so I couldn't hear what was going on. I just thought, that man is Vijay Mallya, and this is BBC News. This looks important.
But I think McLaren, they've had a clear out over the last year. Obviously, Boulier's gone.
Well, that's a couple of years now, but yeah.
Gilles de Ferran's in. Bob Fernley's in running the IndyCar side of things.
James Key may be in at
James,
some point.
James Key will be arriving. Yeah, your guess is as good as anyone's. I think that clear out needs to go higher. I think I'm now firmly in the Zach Brown has failed, get rid of him.
Brown out.
Yeah. Which is what they call a short-term power cut in New York. Because apparently it's very scary.
Brown out.
Anyway, that's my rant over.
If you agree with Paul, hashtag brown out.
Oh, Twitter's going to be interesting for the next few days, isn't it? Bloody hell. Shall we move on from there? I'll get off my soapbox.
You'll need one after the brown out.
Spending some of that Patreon money on a box of soap.
Oh, dear.
Where are we? New contract for Baku. Tuesday news last week.
Yeah, Tuesday, like the crack of dawn. It was. I think before I was awake properly. The podcast was already out of date.
So we're not sure about Britain, Italy,
Yep.
Germany.
Yep.
Yeah. Spain
Mexico.
and Mexico.
All these
That-
places that they said they wanted to hold on to because they were
All-
staples
yeah,
of
classic,
Formula One.
solid,
Yeah.
big fan base, good
Yeah.
races.
But Baku's confirmed.
I mean, Baku is a laugh a minute, to be fair to it.
And
It has
ye-
been an entertaining race.
But is it? Am I wrong in thinking that it's poorly attended at trackside?
Yeah.
Possibly.
Well, we've never really noticed a massive crowd there. I don't know. I
And
haven't.
some of those people might just be posters of people.
Yeah, like the posters of buildings in
Yeah.
front of the rundown buildings.
That was genius when they had they pinned them up, didn't they?
Yeah.
On
I've got to
hooks.
admit, on TV,
You
it
couldn't
looked
tell.
okay. I wouldn't have
But
known
Baku
if I
looks like a
hadn't
nice place.
seen the pictures.
And then you go to Baku when it's not a race on, you think Baku's a terrible place.
And apparently, more people watched the race from hotel rooms that were overlooking the course than did in the grandstands. That's why it's poorly attended, because there are so many. It's like the TT. There's so many places you can watch for free.
I mean,
Which means they might not sell many tickets, but the race itself isn't poorly attended.
yeah, it's good
Yeah.
for the city of Baku. There's people
And I'm sure
coming in and
Monaco's the
spending.
same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're practically in somebody's living room there. Just,
Yeah.
You know, every inch of the track. But yeah, Baku's on the calendar until 2023, so we have 5 more episodes of wacky races to go.
Well, yeah, there hasn't been a normal Baku Grand Prix yet, has there?
The first one was a bit drab.
The F2 one the first year was brilliant, though.
The
so-
F2 race was great. The F1, I'd like to tell you which button to press, but I'm not allowed.
Yeah. It's always been
You know, what was it?
eventful.
I've got 99 buttons, but that switch ain't one.
Yeah. That's what we called the podcast. that
We
week,
did.
wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still proud of that one. I don't get out much. So, yeah, they need to do something about the 5 core historic races that they're desperate to keep on the calendar. But the thing is, the Formula One Promoters Association, FOPA, they released a statement saying that they were massively critical over the way that Liberty were doing their job. The day before, they were scheduled to have a meeting with Chase Carey about exactly that.
Is Bernie Eccleston the head of FOPA?
Well, it represents 16 of the circuits, but it's not the 5 that it doesn't represent aren't the 5 that are in
Okay.
danger.
Because Silverstone is looking more and more likely to not hold a Formula One race, isn't it, as time goes on?
It's looking like that at the minute. They are resurfacing Silverstone.
They're this month, I believe, resurfacing.
Again?
This is because of the bikes is the issue.
Because the MotoGP got cancelled because the track wouldn't drain.
And then a couple of weeks later, British Superbikes had to use a different configuration of the track to
Was it
take
they
out.
used the Indy circuit? Because half of the track was...
I want to say they used something called the National Circuit,
Oh,
but
that was
I
it.
could be.
That was it.
I'm
No,
could be
you are.
incorrect.
The
You are
national
right.
circuit, I think, gets rid of most of the
Mm.
circuit. Just uses the new part, the hangar straight, and then back down to the start again.
Brandt Hatch that's got the Indy circuit.
Yeah.
But I don't know if Bernie Eccleston is connected to FOPA, but he is the promoter of the Brazilian Grand Prix.
And one other, I can't remember which other race he promotes. There is another race that he is the
Oh, it's
promoter of.
France because he owns the
That's
circuit.
Oh, of
correct.
course
Yep,
it
the
is.
French Grand Prix.
Yeah.
Buy a
Now-
road, Bernie. Get a road to France.
You know, they are... Well, they have really solid contracts. And long-term, and probably don't pay as much as the other races.
Yeah.
Because they were
How that
contracts that were
happened.
arranged pre-Liberty.
Yeah. But
Are Liberty charging too much?
I think they're too hard nosed in the wrong places. They need to be harder with the teams, telling them this is what's happening because we run the show. You just need to race, and they need to. Yeah, it's important to grow the sport and things like that. Take it to places that maybe Formula One or other global sports don't go so often, but. Yeah, okay, a couple of races in America, fine, no problem. You know, that's probably a good idea to grow the sport in the US a bit, get a little bit of extra revenue in. But at the expense of what? At the expense of the British Grand Prix? At the expense of the German Grand Prix? Spa? Italy? Come on. What, just so you can watch them race around Detroit? Phoenix, Arizona, again, awful circuit.
2 massive up and down straights on that long bridge in Miami that looks like it's going to be a nightmare if anyone crashes or breaks down on there because there's nowhere to put a crane.
Unless it's on a boat.
I never thought of that.
Yeah.
But that will be quite a long way below the
Yeah.
circuit.
Can you imagine trying
Yeah.
to crane a F1 car onto a boat?
It'll have to be a helicopter.
Imagine
then.
if they dropped the car. Like, can you
Into the
imagine
harbour.
how much suing would happen?
Well, they did the. It happened in Monaco in a classic race a
I
few
remember
years
there was
back.
one that got dropped.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was an old McLaren, wasn't it? And it got dropped 30 feet from a crane.
Ooh.
And it wasn't one of those that it'll buff out. We are talking NASCAR levels of damage.
Oops.
Talking of which, saw the NASCAR highlight from last night where somebody went to try and take the lead.
And T-boned everyone else.
Yes, got it wrong, and only 4 cars were still running at the end of it.
In fairness, I want to say the one that was trying to take the lead actually got the lead.
No,
But it was
The
everyone-
one who was trying to take the lead spun out. He was trying to retake the lead because
Oh,
he'd
I
been on
see.
the lead on the previous lap, so he won.
Okay.
Yeah, wiped the entire field out and still got the win.
It's one way to do it.
Yeah, it's the Maldonado tactic.
Nick Hamilton, take note.
It's what Ocon was hoping for.
Which I've also got written down on here. Max's community service.
Ah, yes.
He's now finished his 2 days. The first one, of course, being at the Formula E race where he sat with the stewards and said, "Crikey, they do a lot." And his second day was at the FIA's International Stewards, I think it was convention in Geneva.
So basically,
Steward Con
they've
19.
realised that Verstappen occasionally is not the nicest person about the stewards, so they've sent him to sit with them for a couple of days.
Yes.
Which,
Is reasonable.
yeah, because you don't always appreciate what other people do and what sort of things they have to put up with and the sort of decisions they have to make. And
Do I get out of the way or do I let him hit me? Well, I mean, there's 18 and 19 other drivers that think that, so what's it like for the stewards?
Yeah, I suppose, watching the replays, you got to try and think like a driver, which is why they have the driver representative there, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, if you're the defensive driver, you're going to be thinking this, but if you're the attacking driver, this is what you're going to be thinking.
Small tree, usually.
A small tree, bloody bonsai. Come on, Lee. Banzai, maybe, but bonsai.
Do we think it's actually going to do Max any good? I hope it does. But I hope it doesn't sort of take the Maxness out of his driving style.
He's got a new helmet.
Yes.
It's whiter than the last one and has a Honda logo on it.
Wow.
Yeah.
They've launched some new team kit today, and he's got an orange collection for Austria, presumably.
I did make a joke on Twitter about the new Red Bull team gear. It's all brand new and no tags.
Ah, very good.
I'll put the tumbleweed noise in later.
Yeah.
Do you think Red Bull are going to go any different with their
I'm
design,
put-
livery?
you know
I'm
what
putting
they'll
my
do?
bold prediction hat on, and I'm going to say it's going to be dark blue.
They'll do something interesting and way more attractive than usual for launch, and everyone will go, "Oh my god, it looks amazing!" And then they'll turn up to testing with the same corporate thing they have every year.
The matte Red Bull livery that they've had over the last few years still looks
Yeah.
good, doesn't it? Yeah. So
But not as good as the camo that they had one year at testing.
no, the black and
the
white camo.
The all blue that they had for their launch last year.
Yeah, the all blue was quite cool. Yeah.
It's always, when they do a special livery, it's always better than the actual livery.
Then, of course, there was David Coulthard's last race for them where he ran in the
Wings for Life one.
Wings for Life Foundation one.
Turn 1, lap 1.
Yeah.
It didn't quite go so well.
Well, I think he might have made turn 2, but backwards.
Yeah.
Because it was backwards with 3
Not
wheels,
under
wasn't it?
his own.
Yeah.
And also, the rumours about the Dutch Grand Prix getting ever closer.
Yeah,
It's-
it's back in the news, isn't
It's
it?
resurfaced again. The FIA, is it? Charlie Whiting has actually had a look at it and said it's completely viable. This was months ago, wasn't it? He looked
Yeah,
at it and
he
said
went
it's
and had a
completely-
look.
I think months ago it was, it's not going to take too much work to get it up to Formula One standard.
Yeah.
Because Zandvoort has been... It sort of fell into a little bit of disrepair. It was still being used for lower classes of racing.
You still do track days at Zandvoort.
Yeah.
Still-
I think Formula Renault Euro Cup still races there, and
Right.
German F3.
German F3 races at Zandvoort.
British F3 races at Spa.
This
Yeah,
is
most
true.
most of the F3s have one or maybe two in some cases international
DTM
event.
was racing at the Hungaroring.
There
They
you go.
do a British round, I think, as well, don't they? DTM.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
Well,
they've
they
raced-
have done. Whether or not
Pretty
they
sure
still
they've
do
raced
it.
at Silverstone. But yeah, it would be good to see that one back on the calendar because hang on, it's a historic European race and it's not on a street circuit, right? It doesn't stand a chance.
It'd be well attended though.
Yeah, it will pay for itself in attendance and merch.
The only thing is you might find that Spa suffers because of it. And I don't know if I'm okay with that.
I don't think it will.
I think it depends where it is in the calendar. If there's a little bit of a gap between them, you'll be okay. I think if you have them next to each other, people might have to pick one or the other.
I don't think Spa will suffer just because of the Max effect. Because the loyal Max Verstappen fans appear to follow him worldwide. Because every race now, there is a hell of a lot of orange in the crowd. And there's a definite Dutch section. You know, at Spa, there was the entire Dutch campsite and stand. We had a couple of listeners from Holland sending us pictures. And it was just they'd taken Holland and transplanted it into the middle of Spa.
And if you think about things like World Superbikes when Carl Fogarty was winning it,
Yeah.
if I remember right, there was rounds of that at Brands and at Silverstone. Or was it Brands and Donington?
Brands and Donington, I don't think they did Silverstone
Yeah.
back then.
And those were both getting record attendances.
Yeah.
There were, I think they were Britain's biggest ever audience for a sporting event.
Oh,
at
were
the
they?
time,
Wow, okay, yeah.
It was about 250,000 people at Donington.
Brilliant. That's kind of what you want, though, isn't it?
MotoGP has 4 rounds in Spain because all the big riders are Spanish and it pulls the crowd in.
Yeah.
Yeah, they used to have
it's-
3 in Italy.
They've still got 2, I think.
2.
So yeah, I think that Zandvoort could flourish and not take it away from Spa or probably any other European race.
I don't want to lose if the core events start going.
I think the only sensible thing they can do to keep the European races and expand at the same time is switch them to biannual. So 1 year you've got Spa, 1 year you've got Silverstone, something like that.
I think
Like
that
they
would,
were doing with Hockenheim and Nürburgring
Yeah.
until...
I think that could
One
work
of
quite
those
well
ran
for some
out
of
of money.
the newer races, and particularly when they talk about doing lots of city races, because you might not want to shut down your city every year. So I think that could work for some races.
And the street circuits just aren't as good.
I
For the
don't want a
most part.
street. If I want to see street races, I watch Formula E because Formula E, the racing's got better to a point where it's a good street race. If I want to watch a good street race, I watch Formula E. Formula One's not about that. Formula One's about racing on the best circuits, the best challenge for drivers. Not let's watch it because it's in the middle of this glamorous city.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. You know, you watch Formula E, and a lot of the races are built round landmarks. When they had the Paris race, you know, every other corner you could see the Arc de Triomphe,
Yeah.
and it gave it more of an identity of, that's a Paris race. Whereas, yeah, with Formula One, a Formula One car at its best should be going that fast that if the cameras are keeping up with it, you shouldn't actually notice what scenery's behind it.
I agree with you there.
And it's only the long shots of iconic corners.
And the hats they get at the end of the race.
Bring those back.
Novelty hats.
Yeah. Any new races on the calendar need a national hat.
Yeah, the Mexican race needs to bring back its sombreros.
Yep, the furry Russian ones,
Yeah,
the
the
US with the
Austin
cowboy
ones.
hats.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Steps.
Bowler hats for Silverstone.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not? It would be. There's nothing. I don't think there's anything wrong personally with adding like a little bit of personality for each race.
Beret for France.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Not that. You need to quite go to the lengths of. You remember when they did all the intros for the USGP?
Yeah, that was.
Michael Buffer
bit much.
intros. That was. It was.
I thought it was good that they tried it.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah,
I think
and
it was good.
that it didn't happen last year as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was a case of, okay, you're an American-owned sport now. This is your first home race. We'll let you off with this one fuck yeah. Now I've got to find out if I'm allowed to say fuck yeah. I got my yeehaw got approved the other week. So
Oh, I'd forgotten about the yeehaw.
yeah, it was allowable.
It was allowable.
Yeah, an American has told me that yeehaw was fully endorsed.
That's this yeehaw was fully endorsed by.
Michael Cohen, a proud Georgian.
Yes, he is. So yeah, I'm
just trying to think of
worried.
what an Azeri national hat would look like for Azerbaijan.
They're big into the carpet, aren't they?
Yeah,
Would
so
it be something
they'd have to
carpet?
be, and they all seem to wear ornate headgear on the sort of.
wouldn't be like really pointy and tall. You have to be really careful, wouldn't you, with how it looked?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I could see difficulties.
Yeah,
So yeah, bring back the national hats.
yeah, I agree. But also keep the good races. They're like the core races.
Yeah.
Oh, I've just googled Azeri national hat, and the first result that came up is astonishing.
That is a cushion.
It does look like a cushion.
Oh hell yes!
It looks a bit like a sort of more ornate version of the Russian hat.
My grandma had some like that, and they clashed with the wallpaper. Sort of flock clothing. I think that is all the sort of newsy bits that we've got at the moment.
Are we maximum newsed?
We are newsed out. Obviously, there will be more next Monday because we'll have had the first day of testing by then,
And all the cars.
and all the cars.
We will know at least what they look like. Whether or not they go out on track and do anything is.
And whether the McLaren breaks within 5 minutes again.
Are we going to make our predictions now for the first driver to bin it in testing?
Ooh,
Because
exciting.
by the time we record this time next week, we will.
We've got a
have
testing
the first
lineup
day.
yet, no?
I don't believe.
No, they haven't announced who's doing what
Which makes it
sessions yet.
difficult to predict who's going to be first off.
First driver to bin it.
I mean, I want to
And
say.
if it snows again, they might not even go out.
I suspect it won't snow again. I think that was a freak event.
Joe, I miss Alonso already. Because he went out when it snowed. he took his McLaren out when it snowed.
I think.
He did a time lap or something ridiculous, like 2 minutes 39 seconds.
Right, I'm gonna quickly claim Grosjean before anyone else picks the obvious answer.
Yeah, it would be.
Assuming he is in it day one and not Magnussen.
Yeah,
I am going to say Alexander Albon.
I'm gonna say Lance Stroll.
He was the first last year.
Yeah,
Dan?
Yeah, I was leaning towards Stroll, and that was because I think he'll want to prove himself, and he'll be pushing just.
look at me, Dad! Look what I can do.
And I think he will be the one
It won't
in
be
the
Dad.
car.
It will be. I deserve to be in this
Yeah,
team.
look
Everyone,
at me, I can
look at
race
me.
alongside Perez.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think because of that, he will be the first one in the car.
Look at me, Claire. This is what I can do in a good car.
But everyone's gonna say Stroll, apart from the people who didn't. But, so Lando.
No?
Ooh. Did you see the video of him trying to do iRacing with 100% force feedback that he put on his Twitch stream last week?
No.
Ended up on YouTube. Have a look for it. It's very, very hard to describe, and I've never heard anyone's voice go that Dalek-y while they're not being electrocuted.
Excellent.
I'll stick it on after we finish recording, and
Yeah.
I'll try and find a link and share it. But yeah, it was one of the funniest things I've heard.
Not actual news, but Lando and Max are teammates for the iRacing Bathurst 12 Hours.
Oh, they have been sharing lots of their iRacing videos where they're racing against each other.
iRacing against each other.
iRacing against each other. That's one of those games where I've got the PC that'll run it, because you need a surprisingly not massive computer to do it.
Bathurst 12 Hours.
Any of the iRacing stuff.
Oh, okay.
iRacing, the system specs on it are remarkably low, but I really don't fancy trying it because I know I'll be terrible.
We want a nice private one where the rest of the world can't see us, don't
Yeah,
we?
yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. We
Yeah.
want our own simulator. Much like Lance Stroll. Anyway,
No,
let's
he's
move
got a team that's his simulator.
on. No, they're assimilated
That-
to him.
They are the Borg.
Yes.
Yeah, his personal simulator will be the team simulator, presumably.
Shall we total shunt it?
Why not?
Let's do that.
Right, and this week's total shunt is from me,
Paul.
because I've run out of all the ones that people had sent me, and I didn't want to ask Lee for one this week because I know for a fact he would have sent over something either unpronounceable or impossible.
I'm afraid afraid you have a lot of Bruno.
So
I do. I'm caked in Bruno hairs. It's fine.
I have researched this one. All questions correct at time of going to press.
Okay.
I mean, you only wrote this at about 6:30, so it should.
So it's fairly recent. I don't think anything's changed since then because I know how things usually happen.
Well, it was 3.5 hours ago now. This might
A
be.
lot can happen.
Yes.
I don't think it has. The first one's definitely right because that won't change because I was born. See, I'm doing it properly.
Yes.
I was born in 1975.
Okay.
44 this year.
Yes.
I studied law at university before I joined the army.
Ooh.
Oh, somebody who joined the army.
I only know of one driver who studied law, but he'd be older.
Who's that?
Carlos Sainz Sr.
Yeah, he's a lot older than...
He is 56.
Yeah.
But joining the army either could be someone who's done national service
Yes.
Like you're forced to
in Germany,
Scandinavian
Finland.
countries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Third clue?
Remember Kimi was doing his national service whilst he was Formula One driver.
Yeah.
Yes, he did. Did he do something to do with planes? Did he do some kind of like airplane maintenance on his?
I don't know what it was, but there is that famous story or infamous story where he was being chased by a guard and he scaled, whilst he was a Formula One driver, scaled the fence, got back into bed covered in grass and smelling of vodka, and claimed it wasn't him that the guard was chasing.
Spearmint vodka?
Yeah. Maybe.
Third clue, and I'm going to need a guess after
No.
this one. I first raced in 1994, and the following year drove a Stewart car.
Stewart car would not be Jackie Stewart's teams. I think they didn't come in till 96, 97. So we're looking at a Paul Stewart car.
Right.
Possibly. Like Stuart Haas, maybe.
So that could be.
Pretty sure Jackie Stewart's team was later. I think their first year was 96. Possibly even 97.
I think you'd probably be right.
So we're looking at somebody who's maybe doing, maybe not Formula One then. Maybe IndyCar.
Which would suggest possibly American.
National service. Well, not necessarily national service, but joining the army, studying law seems to be something that would... In case this racing thing doesn't work out, you should study some law.
You should have a backup.
You should have a fallback plan.
Yes.
We need a guess.
Yes.
I need
What's happening here is we're stalling
Yes,
while anyone
yeah.
comes up with a name.
Somebody think of a name of any driver that's ever done anything ever from the mid-90s and will be roughly 44.
How old's Alex Zanardi?
I
think
think
he's-
he's a little bit older.
Yeah.
Not much, but I think he is a little bit older.
Darn it. Well, that's my suggestion.
Right, Helio Castroneves.
He is in the early 40s, I think, yes.
So your
Is he
first guess?
Mexican?
He Brazilian, I think, or
Brazilian.
Colombian. One of the South American
I
racing
think
nations.
both of those countries have armies, don't they?
I would imagine so.
Let's go with that as a first guess.
So your first guess, Helio Castroneves.
Yes.
My one reasonable bit of trivia on Helio Castroneves is he's won Dancing with the Stars. So other than
Oh, wow.
other than that, we're out.
but it does sound like the kind of name that a lawyer could have, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, Castroneves
Why not?
and Son.
Okay. Fourth clue. I raced in F3 for 3 years from 96 to 98.
So someone who was in F3 until they were 23.
That's quite late.
Yeah.
Yes, but if they'd been at university studying
Oh,
law
I
and
suppose-
then
I
off being a
suppose.
soldier.
And stunt your development slightly.
Yeah.
So if they're in F3 98, we can probably assume
If they made Formula One.
if they got to Formula One or were on the skirts of Formula One, it would have been early noughties.
Someone like Zolt Baumgarten.
Oh, another good name.
there's a name
We've
from
gone
the
from
past.
Castro Neves to Baumgartner.
Pulling all of the names out of the hat right now.
Next clue.
Yes.
I led the race in my first 24 hours of Le Mans.
Nico Hulkenberg is not 44 years
He's
old.
not. I think he's 31.
Is he? Is he really 31?
Yeah.
Oh dear.
31.
I always
Still no
thought-
podium.
I
Might
was-
be 32.
I
I'm
know.
not sure when
I
his
thought he was.
birthday is.
I thought he was a lot younger than that. To be honest.
Clue number 6, and I will need a guess after this one. Other series I have raced in include FIA sports cars, British GT, Australian V8s, and Indy Lights.
This is a bit of a multi.
Yeah.
Not all in the same season. I'm not. This isn't Jim
Yeah,
Clark.
well, no. Yeah.
He's
Any-
older than that.
Anyone see the Grand Tour episode with the Jim Clark feature on it?
No.
It was
Watch
good.
it.
It was very good.
It was incredible.
He is probably the greatest British racing driver of all time.
What was it? The year before he died, he entered 63 races in four or five different series and won 31 of them and had 8 other podiums.
And that was like all over the place, wasn't it? He'd be in Australia, and then a week later would be in France, and then somewhere else, and won the Indy 500, and then.
And then went and did German F2
Yeah.
and Australian Tasman series and. But
I was
we're
going to say, are we meant to
we're
be coming up with
digressing. You
something
meant to be
that
coming up
isn't
with,
Jim Clark?
coming up with a
Yeah,
guess.
40
And the clue is it's not Jim Clark.
Yeah.
Okay. Stunned silence.
Yeah, I don't know what
Yeah.
to go with. My brain's in lockdown. I'm looking at Dan and I can see his brain is working. Just about.
Yeah, I feel like Dan is on the verge of coming out with something good.
I'm thinking someone who did all of those different series. Possibly someone Japanese to do
Interesting.
Australian and American and European series.
Like a Takuma Sato.
Like a Takuma Sato or...
He would be roughly 44, wouldn't he?
I would imagine he would be in that neck of the woods.
Takuma Sato?
Takuma
yeah.
Sato. That's,
Okay. Is that your second guess?
bearing in mind
Yeah.
we've chosen 2 IndyCar drivers.
Right. Clue number 7. I was the brand manager for just about the biggest worldwide name in racing.
The brand manager.
Yes.
This is interesting. So, right, we've got to decide what is the biggest name in racing.
In
Ferrari.
I was going to say, I assume we're thinking
The
Ferrari.
biggest
but
name in worldwide racing. Yeah, I don't know. Worldwide, though?
worldwide, would it maybe be Honda?
That's a hard one because you don't know who. What class is the biggest name in
Is it a sheer
worldwide
length
racing?
of name?
Or would it be Formula One?
Yeah, a brand doesn't necessarily mean a team, does it?
Does
there are
the
many
FIA have a
options.
brand manager?
I suspect probably not to that one, but
No, a Chevrolet classed as like the biggest name in worldwide because of the pure amount of entries that they've got. Do you know what I mean? It's
yeah, it's a difficult thing
Yeah.
to judge, isn't
You're
it?
going to
Before we
hate
then,
me. You are going to absolutely despise me.
yes, I
Probably
imagine
will.
so.
Unless it's just a really, really long name.
That's
Oh,
the
yeah,
thing.
that's
Are
what
we
Sean
talking
was
about
saying,
the
yeah, the
number of
biggest name.
letters in the name?
yeah, the biggest name in world motorsport. It's probably a very, very long name.
We've already had Castro Neves and Baumgartner.
Clue number 8.
Yes.
Yes.
I have tested NASCAR and F1 cars.
NASCAR is not my forte, and lots of
No.
people tested F1. This clue is no good to me.
Clue number 9.
Yes.
I was James Bond for a few minutes.
Mark Higgins.
Oh yes, he was James Bond for a bit, wasn't he?
Yes. For a few minutes, he rolled a car. Is he roughly 44?
I would struggle to place an age on him, actually.
He raced in the British Rally Championship in.
Outside of his rallying efforts,
I know nothing about-
massively up on his CV.
No, I don't know that he did Formula 3, to be perfectly
No.
honest with you.
We have a spaffer.
Good.
I don't.
If you want to throw a guess in pre-spaffer.
I was going to say Mark Higgins.
So we'll bank Mark Higgins, I
I
think.
don't think he.
To the best of my knowledge, he didn't have a big open wheel.
No, he was rally and then stunt driver, as far as I know. I don't remember him being a brand manager for anyone either.
No. I don't feel like we're closing in on anything
No, I
here.
think
Let's go
we're
through the
throwing in a
James Bond
pile of
films.
names that are not related.
Let's go through all of the James Bond films.
Well, no, only the ones after 74, because he was probably not
oh.
James Bond before
No,
74.
hang on.
There's
Dan makes a good point.
there's the box set over there, so if you want to go through them in
I
order.
have an actual brainwave. Sky did a horribly cringy feature at Monaco last year, which was Bond themed. And was it Crofty that was Bond?
It's Crofty.
I don't think Crofty has raced an F3, but I'm just trying to. Was it Crofty that was Bond, or was it someone else?
Oh yeah, it was, and he was rub. Oh no, he was the. Was he the baddie? And he
I
was
think he
rubbish.
was the baddie. Who was the Bond?
I can't remember. I want to say it was a driver, but I can't remember who.
I don't remember seeing this.
It was not good. You
It
didn't
was
miss
rubbish.
anything. It was
It really was terrible.
Natalie Pinkham was in it as well as a Bond girl. And
Yes.
Also terrible.
Yeah, she was Miss Pink, wasn't she?
Yeah, something
No,
like that.
no,
yeah.
no one was good.
So, you got a guess?
No.
It is clue 9. Or do you want the spaffer?
Is there not 10 clues and then the spaffer
Oh,
usually?
sorry, there is. Clue 10.
I might have been away for a while, Paul.
Clue
the
10.
rules of
Just trying to sneak a new
I'm
format.
forgotten.
I'm getting ahead of myself. Clue 10. Although I'm one of the most recognisable drivers, not many people know what I look like.
Like a Stig.
Like a
Yeah.
stick.
Like it was rumoured that Mark Higgins was a Stig, but also Perry McCarthy.
He legitimately was a Stig, wasn't he, though, Perry McCarthy?
Ben Collins
Ben
was
Collins
in the
was
army.
a Stig.
And he was in the army.
And he did
He
do,
would have been
he
a
did
brand-
do
And
some
has probably
stunt
tested
stuff.
all sorts of things.
Yeah, he's definitely done, like, camera stunt films things.
And he was also brand manager possibly for Top Gear. He was down as a consultant for Top Gear on the insurance papers at Richard Hammond's accident.
Yeah. But not brand manager.
World Motorsport. Do you know what I mean? That's just it's a little bit
Yeah.
Worldwide name in racing.
worldwide name in racing was that? Sorry, one
That
of
was-
the
that was how the
biggest
clue was.
worldwide names in racing.
I was the brand manager for just about the biggest worldwide name in racing. That was the actual wording of the clue.
Ben Collins seems like a slightly more obvious choice to me. He's got the army links. He's probably a bit older than 44, to be honest with you. I don't know for definite, but Perry McCarthy's almost definitely older than 44. Perry McCarthy was probably 44 about 15 years ago when he started doing Top Gear the second time round.
I do have a vague recollection of Ben Collins having something to do with Martini. But I may be making something up there.
I think Ben Collins ticks a lot of boxes
Yes,
there.
he ticks more boxes than anything else we seem to be coming up with.
Yeah.
So your guess for clue 10?
Ben Collins.
And do you want the spaffer?
Yes.
Do we need it?
Do we?
Do we need it?
We're not certain, are we? We've just come up with the
Yeah,
best
go on.
possible.
I was sacked from Top Gear for admitting that I was the Stig.
Yay!
Just about on the last clue.
Yes.
And your answer is?
Ben Collins.
I am Ben Collins.
Yes, that'll do.
What was he the brand manager of?
Scale X Trick.
Oh. Interesting.
I would say that is just about the biggest worldwide name in racing. People that don't know about motor racing still have Scale X Trick sets.
Yes, they
Yeah.
do. That's a good one. Well done,
Yeah.
Paul.
Thank you for sending that in, Paul.
I will do that, and if anyone wants to send another one in, send it in a Twitter direct message to @ATotalShunt, or, as I need some spares for weeks when Lee's not on the show, if you can email it to 3legs4wheels@gmail.com, I'll be able to keep a few in reserve. And I still say one week I'm going to get Lee with one of these. If you want to get in touch with us, that's the email address to do it as well. You can get us on Twitter at 3 Legs 4 Wheels or individually
At Sean Cowper.
At Flood21.
At Dan Dankleton.
and at Pablo100. Lee, of course, is at Total Shunt. I'm not here. just rubbing that in. We're also on Facebook, facebook.com/3 Legs 4 Wheels. We're on Instagram somewhere. We'll have to start doing more things with the YouTube channel as well this year.
Keep promising this, but
Yeah,
then nothing happens.
We'll get round to thinking of something.
As Dan said earlier, at the moment, life is happening.
Yeah, when life isn't getting in the way. And, of course, we've got the extra show that you can listen to every week if you're one of our wonderful Patreon subscribers. You can donate anything from $1 a month upwards. It all goes to paying for hosting, software, spares, microphone leads, microphones, all the bits that we use. And you can get that by going to patreon.com/3 Legs 4 Wheels. We'll be back next week with a look back at the first day of testing.
Yes, we will.
See who was the first one off. Don't forget this week's Formula E challenge.
If anyone, might be nobody off.
Nobody might go
Sort
off.
of someone will be off. Something will break if nothing else, and
That's
someone
true.
will end up.
We're still in the middle of the Formula E challenge, which is Monaco in the wet in a 1979 Ferrari.
It's horrible.
I know. This is my way of getting revenge because I sucked at the last one, so everybody else is going to have to struggle this time. And we'll have the results of that next week. And we'll also, next week, have the winner of the Kimi Haiku competition. We'll read some of the best entries out.
Yes.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in a week's time.
We will do indeed.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.